Brady has joined us in studio. Morning to you, David.
Good to be in, boys.
How's life?
Happy Easter.
This is the first time we've had you.
This is the first time in 2020, yeah.
2020, right. You've been saving all your good stuff over the Christmas and you're lapped and loaded and ready for action.
There was too much politics going on for my liking.
Well, what is the one word to describe Mayo at the moment, the mood around Mayo, or if the one sentence really, I guess?
Consistent.
Around Mayo at the moment, right?
Consistently average?
Consistent every single year. You're arriving to a scenario where, you know, even last year when you're looking at, when you actually turn on and win the league, you're going first game or two, you know, performance-wise, I suppose, team selection-wise, and I am being harsh, and I will be harsh, because I think we need to be realistic to say there's too many of the same errors, the same mistakes, the same patterns of play that are evolving and not coming out with a positive.
Are they further away from winning the All-Ireland now than they have been at any point over the last 10 years?
Good question, and the answer is yes, I think. Because, and I don't know how, I see the Dublin guys. I see, it's not all about Dublin. But again, I do see the Kerry guys, and I see James O'Donoghue, and we're like the walking wounded on a constant year in, year out basis. And look, there is miles in the clock, but I always say there's more mental miles from a Mayo perspective than there is physical, because every team goes to the semi-final. The Kerrys of this world, the Dublins, look, you get an extra kick when you win. But it's just that we're like the walking wounded, where it's now very unfortunate for Matthew Rowan, he's a long-term injury as well. But you have now Cullum, you have Killian. Like, Killian has played, you know, minimal football in a 2-year period. Maybe if you counted even a 3-year period, because of injuries. It's, you know, Lee Keegan, but they're all in the 30s, okay, but it's just to concentrate that there's a lot of guys consistently injured, and I'm going back to the Dublin game last year. How we could have played guys that hadn't played 2 games competitively for 70 minutes in nearly, 12 weeks. The likes of Seamie O'Shea, the likes of Donny Vaughan, the likes of Matthew Rowan, the likes of Jim O'Connor. It comes back to say, are we giving the younger players, the players that are on the fringe, that are going to be there tomorrow, the likes, whether it's the Brian Reeps, or the Fergal Bolins, or the Kieran Tracy's. Now, he's another player, but you're going, these guys, for me, I thought we had a crop of players that were able to compete. But at the end of the day, we revert back to last year's game against Dublin, and it was the same players, but they had not match time, they hadn't game time, and they were carrying.
James Horn will probably tell you that he's doing a bit of that now at the minute with the league, that he is introducing some of the.
But it's happened every year, and I'm not saying James Horn in particular. I'm saying James Horn, Stephen Rochford was the same. That when the shit hit the fan, you're still going back to your tried and trusted.
Is that why you're saying that if you're in agreement that they are further away from winning the Ireland at any point over the last 10 years, is that the reason for it, that some of those players you've just mentioned, the likes of Aidan O'Shea and Vaughan and Higgins and Clark and whoever else you want to name, that have been there and done it for the last decade, that that constant banging your shoulder off the door trying to get through and it not paying off, that ultimately that's now, outside of the injuries, but that level of endeavour without any result is now culminating and taking its toll?
Yes, and have the players, have the senior players been challenged from a managerial point of view? Have they been saying, well, you know what, and it hasn't worked. The 2 players has been constantly challenged.
What do you mean?
As in to say, you know what, your performance is not up to what the standard we'd want it.
Like who are you thinking?
I would say the likes of Kevin McLaughlin. Though I would say, and I'm being straight here, the likes of Stephen Cohen, for me, hasn't in any way grabbed a game, hasn't controlled the game. He will be consistently good. But at that level, for the guy of his experience now, and that has played from its 21s and minors and sickness and has all the medals, for me, he has not controlled the game. He didn't control the game last weekend from a midfield perspective, and that's what you want from a midfielder. And if okay is not enough. And I do think that the players need to be challenged. The only 2 that's been challenged on a constant basis, and you can see it from the team selection, is your goalkeepers.
Yeah.
David Clark was dropped.
And conversely, almost, that's not what you want.
Well, for man says, because one mistake, you're going, oh, well then, Owen Sheehan is in now this week. Adrian Barry made a mistake on the programme last night. You're going, And it's you're going to yourself, it's not healthy from that state. But I'm saying the opposite. The players need to be challenged.
And you're saying there's enough players coming through, like obviously you've Carr obviously coming through famously over the last year.
Yeah.
Loftus, a few more coming through. You're saying there's enough there to put the pressure on?
Well, you know what? I think they're good enough, and it's not to put. They have to. They have to be given the opportunity. And I do think there's a slight little... Now, I love the likes of Oisin Mullen as well, from a cornerback perspective. Good, fine young fella. He's going to play with the 20s. There's an own clubmate, my own clubmate in Ballina, Swanee O'Hara, we call him, from a famous football family and traditional family in Ballina. Pádraig O'Hara is his real name. I do not have to think every time because nobody calls him Pádraig. But he is a dog.
And he started well in the league as well.
He is, and he will do a job right throughout. There'll be no doubt, bar injury, that he will be in the backs. But again, is Keith at his prime? Is Cullum at his prime? And the guys we have coming back are all kind of the older brigade.
And there's increasingly not many older, like the older players in counties are stepping aside now. I mean, at older, I mean 33, 34.
Yeah. And again, Andy, how long was Andy? Andy was the saviour on many occasions, right up to the day he walks away. And look, there is pressure. There is pressure on a Mayo manager that comes in, because even a National League is not good enough. It's an All-Ireland. It's an All-Ireland or bust, and you're going, these are the players that have delivered in the past. But I do think there needs to be a fundamental rawness to the way that the Mayo team are assessed.
Billy Joe Patton, sorry, David. Billy Joe Patton was making the point earlier on this week. Could just go back to your Andy Moran point, that great Mayo footballers who are fantastically gifted as inside forwards often get brought out to pitch in Mayo because they want them more involved in the game. They want them as half backs. Is that true, in your opinion, from your experience?
I don't think so, really. I wouldn't say that. But what I would say, and if you look at it down through the years, especially in the last 10 years, I think the inside forward line have become frustrated from, we haven't got a consistently out-and-out midfield pairing. I don't think, and I think that is a basis of concern, whether it's injury-wise, it's form-wise, it's a lot of chopping and changing, where I'd say you could name 10 different midfield partnerships in the last 6 years in Mayo. A lot of it's down to injury as well. Unfortunately, Matthew Rowan, who I think is absolutely fantastic, and he's going to be the fulcrum of the future. But if you're an inside forward, you're going to be coming out. I see it was with Ryan O'Donoghue as well now, who's, I'd rather remain closer to goal. But he's coming out around the half forward midfield line. Again, we don't have the foot passers. The best foot passer in Mayo football, in my degree, in my opinion, is Kevin McLaughlin. I think I'd like to see the likes of Kevin McLaughlin nail down a midfield berth.
Right.
I think he would absolutely be perfect for the role that's needed.
Right.
From his athleticism, his kick passing ability, his forward momentum, but also he has the engine and he has the experience to be sitting back.
Yeah.
Are we going to go with Jamie, who's injured? Are we going to go with Tom, who played the first game and he hasn't played the next two games? Are we going to go with Donny Vaughan? Are we going to go with Stephen Cohen? Are we going to go with Matthew Rowan? You're going, the permutations are there. I think definitely there's a place, and there's I think Kevin McLaughlin would be ideally suited, especially with his foot passing ability and the mark being introduced.
They're in a bind now in terms of the overall sort of position of things, like a couple of tough games out of the way, Meath this weekend, and it's not going to get any easier from there on out. Like, they are in a bit of a bind, and who knows what James Horan's policy is, right? Like, he might at some point decide that getting maybe his thought is that getting some of the older brigade back in for some of the later games, whatever, I don't know what his plan is. It could be that he's accepting that they're going to get relegated. They haven't been out of the Division 1 in 30 years or something like that. Maybe he's accepting of all that to pay the price now for the greater good.
There's no way that any Mayo manager, supporter, will ever accept being demoted from Division 1.
Even if the price to pay is unearthing 2 or 3 young players who are going to fill the gaps that you're talking about.
Why pay the price by having inadequate performance from everyone else?
Well,
because you're going, and it hasn't served the Donegals of this world any good.
I don't know about that. They've come back from Division 2 and put in great back-to-back years.
But you're still looking at what have they done, and Mayo have done getting to a, have they got to a final?
I suppose Mayo went further than Donegal last year when it really mattered.
When it really mattered, it goes. Tyrone did the same.
True,
And you
I
come
suppose,
on. I will say that if any one team has impressed me, it's been Donegal. Any one team that I've seen a fluidity with and a sense of urgency. They within 11 minutes last weekend they buried Meath. 3 goals within 11 minutes. Mayo were poxed to come out of Ballybuffet with a draw. Yeah, and again, I like the way that, say, Odin
McNeilish.
Yeah, coming back. Like, what was it, July?
Yeah, well, or McNeilish we probably might not see him again until next year potentially.
Yeah.
Like Donegal, obviously, I think they're in fine fettle, and I think they're like quality side.
Michael Murphy going away.
Owen Bon Gallagher obviously coming back.
Owen Bon Gallagher, yes. Like for a guy to put in the performances, like and I was reading about a talk he gave in Letterkenny, and every football is everything to you. And again, he broke his ankle in July, and he said there were some lonely times in July and August when everyone else is off and gone and focusing on football that he's left on his own. But the way he's come back, and I think that is the way football has changed as well. And I love that professionalism of it. That okay, we have the glitz and glamour, we have the television, we have the constant focus, but again, the medical attention that the players are getting, I think, is top class.
To get a bit of a sense from you as to where Mayo are at in the overall picture, and you mentioned Donegal as well, what's your expectation of the top 5 teams in the country in order top down for this year?
From a Jim Gavin point of view, I think he did one of the most unselfish things from a managerial point of view, and it's not that I know an inside or an outside. He knows there's something left in this Dublin team, and he has sacrificed himself to say, and it's not about Desi Farrell, albeit he is excellent and integrating well into the Dublin setup. It's about the players taking control, and I've been very impressed. Again, and you're not going back to the McHughes or Bugler or any of these new guys coming in. You're going back to the tried and tested McCarthy's, the Kilkennys, the Fentons, the consistent performers, and I think they're going to be very hard bet. But there's the Kerry, there's danger written all over them.
Maybe we don't need to get too carried away with just how good Dublin are in the league, because they're always going to have a huge swathe of players knocking at the door. And maybe the likes of Mayo and Kerry and Galway and Donegal just need to worry about the icing on the cake and just worry about who is going to be in that your first 20 players in the championship day against Dublin, because your McHughes and your Aaron Burns and all these players coming through, they're not all going to make the matchday squad. And actually getting wound up about how they're so much superior with their second string teams in the league is actually a futile exercise.
Well, it's a smokescreen. The second string, or even the third string that we've seen, or people have commented on.
Yeah.
Because it's gone back to the firsts and the strongest and your Warriors, and they're consistently performing. And it's I don't know when. Probably, I suppose, from a midfield perspective, they're playing Howard there. I suppose you had a lot of chopping and changing last year towards the latter end. Who was partnering Fenton? That's the big question. Was it McCarthy or is it O'Sullivan, or is it going to be Howard stepping back? But the man says they're integrating the 1 or 2 players every year, and I'm being straight. These players aren't special.
Yeah.
They're not setting the whole work, but they're doing a job, and they're not letting someone else take the jersey from them.
Last question before I let you go, and it's a one-word answer. Who's the best team in Connacht right now?
Galway, without a shadow of a doubt.
Without a shadow of... And who's the second best team?
Honestly,
you're
not.
Still have Mayo out of Roscommon.
You're not. Man says always be wary of the boys from Roscommon, but Porrick Joyce, he's integrating very well. John Divley is top notch. Yeah. And we had him in here over the year. Divley knows his football, and he's playing their best players in the right positions. Yeah. He needs to look at the full back.
Just finally, again, as briefly as you can. So you're Dublin, some combination Dublin Kerry at the top, because your answer here might be slightly different than the one you've just given. Who are the 3 teams that follow that?
Tyrone will be hard bet towards the ladder, and McShane will give them a big boost. I would put them 3. I put Galway 4. And at this minute, Monaghan 5.
Right, okay.
I feel like we're being yelled here, by the way. This is
no, and it's a big game on Sunday, Mayo Meath.
Did you ever play against Meath? Any famous Mayo Meath matches from your career?
There's red carpet out for all us Mayo men going back to Meath.
That's another day's work.
And I'm looking forward to it.
DB, plenty more from you 2020. Thanks a million for coming in.
Pleasure, boys.
And that's where we're going to leave the GF.